Hi there, and welcome back to the Message Marketing Pod. I'm your host, Christopher Melotti from Melotti Media, and this is episode 122, Why Smart Brands Are Using Seasonal Advertising Campaigns in Marketing to Boost Sales. So in marketing, we're always asking what's new, but let's shift things up a little bit and give you a secret marketing weapon at the same time. So let's talk about something that's a little quote-unquote old school marketing, yet very underutilized and extremely powerful for brands today. And they are seasonal advertising campaigns. So truth be told, these creative brand advertising campaigns aren't actually old. They used to be the norm only a few years ago, but then came digital performance advertising, like on Google and Facebook and even TikTok. And these are those like pay-per-click ads and the pay-per-impression ads, PPC and PPI ads that marketers have defaulted to because they're easy to launch and run. And so, for instance, if you're selling, say, a pair of jeans, you just do a quick ad, put them up on Facebook or TikTok, and you put them as a pay-per-click or on Google ads, and you put them as a pay-per-click, people click and they buy, and it's done. So all of that seems great, right? And it's understandable why people moved away from these creative seasonal campaigns and onto these performance advertising campaigns. The problem is, what we're seeing is the tide is turning. Why? Because there's so much noise out there. There's so much digital saturation. And so what is happening is, what we're seeing is that due to this bombardment of advertising is that these ads are now starting to perform less. And when we're seeing big brands, small brands, all sizes are starting to pull back their digital performance advertising because big budgets are being spent and not many results are getting out of them. And so that's what's happening is that marketers are now going, where do I turn to? And this is where I feel that seasonal advertising campaigns are going to make a comeback in a big way. And so let's discuss what they are. So what are these seasonal creative advertising campaigns? Well, these are those highly memorable marketing concepts and advertising concepts that audiences really love, right? Those big picture ones. Now, you don't have to have a big budget, but they are those ones that last for about a season, and they've got some sort of overarching message that's a slightly different direction to what their brand usually says. So for instance, if you remember Coca-Cola's Share a Coke campaign, do you remember those bottles where they had everyone's name on it, like Kylie and Jason, and then they had this whole campaign about share a Coke with a friend, like buy one for yourself and one for your friend, and let's open happiness together, right? So smart. That was a seasonal Coca-Cola campaign where they used a creative concept and shared it all over, and it was very, very popular. People were, doing consumer-generated content because they were showing, I'm sharing it with this person. So clever, right? See how it's not a performance ad, it's a campaign. Same thing as, do you remember the Dumb Ways to Die? Remember that campaign? Well, that is also one of those ones. It's by Metro Trains in, I think it was Melbourne in Australia. And now that's making a bit of a comeback on TikTok. But the original campaign was really big. What about the classic Old Spice, The Man Your Man Could Smell Like? Do you remember that one? I'm on a horse. So good, right? Or KFC's, did someone say KFC? I don't care, I love... Oh, they all have musical themes, right? That's funny. But this is what I'm talking about is these types of creative advertising brand campaigns that are seasonal are crucial to marketing as their main goal is to promote your products or services in a fresh, new and memorable way that doesn't depend on just that numbers game that performance advertising does. Like performance advertising, even though they have a place, don't get me wrong, everyone needs to do these things, but you're basically shooting for repetition and numbers, whereas the advertising campaigns, you're aiming for cut through and messaging, and that can create a much better impact, especially longer term for your brand, because people remember those campaigns that brands have done. Like you still remember those KFC ones and all of that. So it's basically these seasonal campaigns are reopening the opportunity for creative brand advertising to take the limelight once again. After all, the goal of brand advertising is to build brand favorability by encouraging people to feel or think something new about your brand, while the goal of those previous forms of performance advertising is to run a return on advertising spend campaign. So as marketers, today, especially with the digital saturation and all this noise out there, is we want campaigns that are remembered, not fleeting. And that is really important. And that's why I'm saying in this podcast is this is why advertising campaigns and these seasonal brand campaigns and executions need to be put back into your marketing mix. And again, you don't need a huge spend. All you need to do is create something fresh and unique. And so that's why we're trying to do this. And so let's talk about how do seasonal advertising campaigns work? Well, they are basically temporary promotional concepts with a unique marketing theme for you to use for a short period of time to reinvigorate your brand. So when launching one of these campaigns, you can reconnect with your audiences by designing the following around a periodic theme. So one is a fresh new brand message, right? Like Coca-Cola's Share a Coke, Open Happiness, right? Number two is an on-brand but variation to design. Like you might introduce a new color for a temporary, reason. Like for example, it might be around Christmas or Easter. And number three is then you roll it out across multiple different channels. So for instance, if you do events, you might use that seasonal campaign and skin your booth, right? Or have merchandise that has that new brand message or slight different design. So think about the Old Spice, think like a man, like whatever it was, the man your man could smell like, right? So when that came out, not just the TV ads were being pushed around everywhere, but you could see it on YouTube. It was all over their social media. Their website got a reskin, okay? Even the products themselves got a reskin. And the stands in the actual physical shops had a bit of a skin, where they had like the man your man can smell like. The reason why is because those campaigns work when they are omni-channel. They're everywhere. And so if you come up with a great concept and then you roll it out as a seasonal brand campaign, then you put it everywhere and it gives your brand this reinvigoration because they add an extra spark to your usual marketing efforts and they can encourage existing and potential customers to re-engage with your brand. So when do you launch these seasonal advertising campaigns? Well, you can do them at any time, right? You can anchor them to at any specific period. The reason why we call them seasonal is because they're not meant to overtake your brand, right? They're meant to be like a detour for your brand to get some new or invigorating interest and then bring your brand back. Why? Because in the end, branding fundamentals must be respected, which is consistency and clarity. But giving this extra boost of something in a seasonal period is a really good way to re-spark attention. For example, fashion brands do this all the time. Look at Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton have their staple products, their staple brand, it's always there. But they'll do a theme for a couple of months. It's like a thing that they might mess with the brand a little bit, like polka dots or something like that. And then they get all this new interest in because it's reinvigorating, it's exciting. Then it goes back to the regular Louis Vuitton again. Okay, so something that can inspire you might be Valentine's Day or Pride Month or Cyber Monday or summer or winter. All of these kind of things, like Starbucks, what they do is they do seasonal drinks and festive food to get more people in. If they just continue to be Starbucks, the same Starbucks all the time, people might lose interest or the brand might be premature before they were expecting it. Whereas having some seasonal sips and festival foods or different flavors and things like that can re-excite people to come back in and re-engage an audience. Okay, Coca-Cola do it the same way. Who else do it? As I said, Louis Vuitton, they do things like industry events and all of these kind of things. So this is what it is the point of these seasonal marketing campaigns is to keep your brand relevant and connected to your customers through a temporary new angle that highlights the value of your brand. And it really does work. So if you want to explore this, the best thing to do if you're in an oversaturated market is to come up with a concept, an idea, something, or approach an agency like Multimedia, and we can help you come up with a concept that can give your brand a refreshing new life, even if it's for 3 months or 6 months. So what you can do is that can help you come up with the concept that then you can build and create this whole seasonal marketing campaign that then you can roll out across everywhere. Trust me, I've done this with many, many companies, and it can even invigorate your internal teams as well. If you have a sales force, giving them a seasonal advertising campaign with a message and something fresh with new collateral and new branding and messaging gives them something new to sell. And it's exciting for them and their customers, and it gives them an excuse to talk to prospects and speak to people and re-engage. So if you have something like that, use that and jump on it and make sure you're doing that because it is a valuable marketing exercise. So here are 6 benefits of this. 1 is increasing brand awareness and relevance. 2 is more brand differentiation and credibility. 3 is improving your target audience targeting, right? So like making sure that you've got looking at your customers and thinking about what's modern and fresh because it can really make your brand quite modern. Number 4 is higher customer engagement and loyalty. 5 is a bit of a boost in sales and revenue if you do it right. And number 6 is maximizing your return on investment. So how do you do this? How do you actually create these seasonal advertising campaigns? Well, number 1, as I said, starts with the idea. What's the concept? What's that spark? Like the Coca-Cola's share with a friend. That was where it started, was just an initial idea. Then is conceptualization, is step 2. So that's when you go, what does this actually look like, sound like, be? How is it going to develop into a full idea? Okay, what does it look like? What does it sound like? How are we going to execute this? Number 3 is the actual execution. So how are we going to roll it out across, for example, our website, our social media, our blogs and articles, our content, our ads, booklets and collateral, presentations, stands and event installations, and more, okay? Because remember, that's what you need to do, is come up with a concept, build it out, and then use it across all of your marketing. Once the season ends and you've built that excitement, you can then revert back to your regular marketing effort and plan for the next season to come. So if you need help with any of this, or you have any more questions, visit our website multimedia.com.au, or email us or call us. We are always here to help you. If this sounds appealing, if a seasonal marketing campaign or advertising campaign sounds like a great idea for your brand and you're thinking, well, what do I do? How do I do this? Come speak to us. Come speak to me. I'd love to chat about how we can reinvigorate your brand over a season and really give it the boost of energy that you and your customers are really looking for at the moment. So thank you so much for listening to episode 122 of the Message Marketing Pod. I'm your host, Kristen Melotti of Melotti Media. Please join me in the next one. Subscribe to this podcast channel, and I look forward to talking with you again. Thanks again.